To start?
So good evening, Pratyush, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. To give you a
Hmm.
quick overview, the Aim to Flourish project highlights business innovations that create a positive impact while also supporting UN Sustainable Development Goals. Through this interview, we'd like to learn more about the company's innovation and the impact it has created. With your permission, we'd like to record the conversation and later publish a story based on it on the Aim to Flourish platform. We're really looking forward to hearing more about your experiences and insights.
Sure, yeah. Nice to meet you, Rituja. Happy to talk. Yeah.
Okay, so Pratyush, apart from me and Rituja, Harsh and Hinjit have also joined, but because they have classes, they won't be able to interact with you.
Hmm.
Let us start this interview by asking you about your journey. What led you to start or join Plux AI? And additionally, what do you find most meaningful or exciting about your work at Plux?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great to meet you all. I think I'll give some brief context, the background, and then how the journey of Plug started. So yeah, I started my career at DE Shaw. So I graduated actually in engineering from one of the top NITs, and I started my journey at DE Shaw, which is a hedge fund, which is at the intersection of finance and technology. So that's where I spent, around 3 years. Then I moved into Google. I worked on AI systems there, worked on Gemini there. And while doing that, I had a good friend of mine who actually I met back at D. Shaw, who again went to London Business School. He did his finance, and we felt that AI and finance is a place where which needs a lot of innovation, which is going to change a lot down the line. And that's where the inspiration of Plux basically started. So Plux AI is kind of the new AI financial analyst you can think of, which does most of your financial modeling, financial research, etc., directly through some agentic behavior. So that's how the journey of Plux started. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the innovation story. So we are basing this interview around SDG goals. So
Hmm.
one of the SDG goals is SDG 9. Based on that, there's a question for you around how Plux AI describes itself. So Plux AI describes itself as the AI financial analyst you can trust, the tagline that your organization uses. Could you tell us about the key innovation behind this tagline and behind this idea? And after this, next question following is what problem in the financial industry you are aiming to solve with this innovation?
Yeah. So the couple of things here. So finance right now is, I guess most of you would be knowing, AI is pretty good and is getting better day by day. But there's one thing which AI really sucks at sometimes is hallucination problem. So most of your LLMs right now, the large language models, think of GPT, Gemini, Claude, etc. They are good at most of the creative parts, but any of the analytical part, like maths and all, they still sometimes get it wrong. And finance, healthcare, legal, these are some of the sectors wherein any kind of mistakes can cause a huge amount of issue. So, for example, let's say you're a trader and the LLM gave you like the revenue to be 12 billion rather than 18 billion. The complete financial model will go wrong, and then your projections will go wrong. So that's one of the core piece which we were solving at Flux. That is building trust on models, how to use, and how to deploy at scale in financial services. So for that, the way we were going about that was through data. So all these models right now, they are trained on internet and bunch of other, other public sources, but they do not have access to structured data. Think like, structured income statement, cash flow statement, balance sheets for all the public, private, UK, US companies. And that's where Flux powers them. So historically, before LLMs, before AI, all these data was collected manually by people in low cost centers in by companies like Capital IQ, FactSet, etc. And now through AI, we can do it at a very large scale at a much cheaper cost, and then give that to the LLM to give more accurate predictions. So that's how we were trying to differentiate ourselves.
Actually, the follow-up question was based on this. So, how is Flux different from the traditional methods that is already existing? Maybe there were some other methods that were employed before you. Apart from what you mentioned, is there any other differences you would like to point out?
Yeah, I think the core differentiator is before AI, before LLMs, think like, how does a how do all these companies get, financials, let's say revenue of Zomato across all these years? Because Zomato would be publishing its, financial statements in a PDF in somewhere, someplace. And historically, there were some kind of, automated methods, but they would work basically for very very basic numbers like revenue, etc. But think like, even deeper numbers, like how many Uber rides did happen across the years. All these are hidden somewhere in those PDFs. And how they used to work earlier was you'd have huge number of people who would be assigned one company, and whenever the companies would send out their financial statement, these people would basically enter those numbers into a database, right? That's how, because there was no automated way to go about it now. And like since you have like 100,000, millions of companies worldwide, you require like to employ so many people. And that's where I came in. Like, now you can just parse all these PDFs, understand and structure those numbers, cite it correctly, and then put that into database. So that's, the core differentiator. So for example, one Cap IQ subscription or FactSet subscription costs around $20,000, which roughly is around 15 to 20 lakhs per annum, one subscription per seat, and now that can come down to like 1 lakh or even less than that due to AI. So that's roughly how it works.
That is really interesting. But when it comes to challenges, what were some of the key challenges you think you faced while building this innovation? And how do you think you overcame all of these challenges?
Yeah, I think there were two kinds of challenges we faced here. One is technical challenges, which was basically how would we make sure that the LLMs are not hallucinating in our case as well? How are we making sure that the revenue number for Zomato, whatever we are extracting, is exactly correct for every year, which is it is. So for that, we needed to have a lot of heuristics, lot of, kind of post-validation checks, and that's something we were able to solve technically. The other challenge which came was on more on the selling side or on the consumer trust. So let's say a consumer is there who has been trusting Cap IQ FactSet for so long. How would they suddenly trust a new startup for their financial models, for their, financial analysis? And the way we overcame that was to do it gradually by having some pilots agreement with them first. They will test out the platform for like, 1 to 2 months, ensure like gain trust on top of it. And now people are adopting AI. Now people are understanding that AI is going to change things. So they are slightly more open to these new innovations. So that's roughly we challenge both technical and non-technical aspects of platform. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pratish. Ritija, I would like to request you to take the next section forward.
So one thing that we'd like to know is how has this innovation influenced Plux AI's growth as a business? For example, in reaching new clients, markets, or opportunities.
Mhm. Yeah, so we are primarily targeting UK for now. So the idea was that there are two financial large hubs in the world. One is New York and other is London. So we started with London again because my co-founder is from London. And the way we expanded our business was we started with going out to investment banks, consultings, auditing firms, equity, asset management, and all these, kind of buy side and sell side firms. So in finance, you have like sell side and buy side. Sell side includes all these IBs, consultancies, etc. And buy side are people who actually buy the assets themselves, like asset managers, hedge funds, etc. So we started with sell side there, and the way we expanded was mostly through tapping on our networks, which was, maybe my, the folks I know at D Shaw, my alumni network, my co-founders alumni network, and then slowly posting marketing on LinkedIn, and then they reaching out to us or through cold mail. So these were some of the ways we actually reached out and expanded our client base. Yeah.
This one is more about employment and your team. So, what kind of opportunities for learning, growth, or new roles has the innovation created for your team?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way we actually think about hiring and then growing the team is that we are a complete AI first company, which is everything, for example, including coding, marketing, sales, needs to be driven by AI, which is, a human would be using AI a lot to do all of these aspects. So we don't need a large headcount. That's not something we actually believe in, that you need, like, let's say, 100 of people to do the thing. So we hire very rigorously. We go through a complete, hiring process, and the person who is onboarded needs to wear multiple hats. So, for example, we had a couple of, folks which we hired from BITS Goa, my previous college, a bunch of other good colleges, and the way they had to approach was that sometimes they would be doing, like in engineering, for example, they would be doing front end, they would be doing back end, they would be doing every kind of engineering, even though they did not know, again through AI. So what they learn in, while working at Plux is that we make sure that they are up to date with every kind of AI tool out there, and how to maximum leverage that to upskill themselves and be really speed and delivering stuff. So that's how we go about it.
Okay, so Pratish, going forward, let us cover a few points about impact and evidence that Flux AI has had. Can you please share an example of how a client or a partner has benefited from Flux AI solutions?
Yeah, sure. So again, I can't name the exact, financial customer because they are very secretive about things, but it is one of the very large big fours of the world, who currently use Plux AI. And the way they benefit is, so in UK, you have something called as Companies House, which has all the companies uploading their financials in a scanned format. So you have these images of PDFs which come out. And before Plux, the way, these analysts would go about is that they would open Companies House. They would, let's say, search for a UK company. Think Revolut is a UK company. They will open that up, and then they will manually go through again those PDFs and put the revenue numbers or whatever there is to into their Excel. Or let's say they want to understand that how much credit cards did Revolut expand across the years. They have to manually again read through that 50, 60 page PDFs across, 5, 6 years every year to understand that. They cannot, it's a scanned PDF. They can't even do Control F. So the way Plux AI helped them was, basically we did for like almost 1 lakh UK companies. We converted those scan to text, we analyzed them, we indexed that, and then trained our model on top of it, so that now they can just come to Plux and ask about anything about any UK company, and they'll get that answered up front. So what earlier used to take them a week or, at least 2, 3 days, now gets that done in a minute or so. So that's how they benefit from Plux.
Okay, Pratish, when it comes to success, how do you think you measure success, not just for your company, but from the client's perspective and like a broader perspective as well? How do you measure success?
Yeah, so I think there are two ways I see success as. One is pure, I would say, metric based, which is how is the revenue growing for the company? How many customers are we signing up every month? What's the general product led growth? Like, what's the CAC, cost of customer acquisition? All those different metrics on how are we performing on those, right? So if our revenue is growing upfront, our costs are low, and then we are having good margins, I think that's one of the key differentiator there on metrics. Apart from these, what we want to see is, from customers' viewpoint, is how exactly is customer using Plux. So the way customers, for example, that client particularly told us that earlier they would need to have, like, let's say, 3, 4 analysts analyzing, 100 companies over weeks, and that one analyst in UK, for example, has around 100K pounds salary per year. So that comes around 400K cost. Now can they do the same work with, let's say, 3 analysts and using Plux? So that's the customer success story. That, or maybe with just 4 analysts they can cover rather than 100 companies but 1,000 companies. So can they bring in more business? Can they save cost in hiring? These are the two metrics through which they can, ensure how Plux is used. Yeah.
Okay, so great, Pratish. Following up, What do you see as the long term impact of this innovation on your industry and society?
Yeah, so our core thesis is that finance is going to change. The way financial analysts and financial, industry works right now will slowly adapt AI. And there are still a lot of inaccuracies earlier, right? In human ways as well. There were still so many financial models which were predicted wrong. There were still ways in which a lot of inefficiencies were there. Like let me just quote an example. Let's say you are a small, small shop which is a bakery shop which you are selling bakery for, and then there is a large bakery team which basically wants to acquire someone. Earlier you can't just go to them. Now through plugs, or through these AI models, you can use them to basically interact and figure out those large opportunities. So I think it will grow up more business, finance will expand more, and then you'll get better accurate results sooner. So that's how industry will change. Yeah, just give me a second. I have my alarm ringing.
Rituja, next.
So one closing question that we would have is looking 5 years ahead, how do you think Flux AI is shaping the financial industry or contributing to a better future?
Yeah, so looking 5 years ahead, I think the way we would want Lux to is be part of the core workflows of every financial, analyst. Like think, for example, I guess all of us start using ChatGPT a lot, and we are kind of dependent on that. But and similarly, as a programmer, as a software engineer, I'm using Claude a lot. Like Claude is kind of a, my go-to tool where in any coding stuff I need to do, I don't use a ChatGPT, I use Claude for that. So similarly, we are thinking that every financial analyst, when they need to ask, like create a financial model, when they want to, figure out like competitive peer analysis for a sector, let's say they want to create presentations, all these things, which ChatGPT cannot do right now, they would come to Plux and then go ahead with it. So it would become like day-to-day workday tool for every financial analyst out there. So that's how 5 years down the line I see. Yeah.
Pritish, this was all, but this one additional question. Coming up, there might be a lot of competition in your field as well, since ChatGPT also saw a lot of competition coming up. So, if Plux AI sees competition with something similar coming up, how do you deal on handling that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think competition is right now. I mean, it's not even that we see it coming up later. It is already there. There are a lot of companies which are solving in finance because it's almost $1 trillion economy, a business. Like, the market is really huge. So a lot of people know the potential and they are here. The way to differentiate in this competition, I think one of the core aspects is data. Which data does the platform has access to? How do you, because every decision which is made in finance needs to be backed with data from the actual source. Like, you cannot just say that revenue of Zomato is like, let's say, whatever $1 billion. You need to quote the exact source, exact page from where we are getting it. And that would be the key differentiator which we feel. So our focus at Plux is that we first solve the data. We make sure that data is correct, structured, and calculated across the years, and then we build the analysis on top of it. So yeah, I mean that's our core approach, and I think that would differentiate us from the competitors. Yeah.
Okay, so that's all. Anything additionally you want to tell us about anything?
Nothing much. I just want to say that we are mostly going through an acquisition process right now ourselves. So we are trying to join hands with, again, as I said, that we are operating in London, in UK, and we are planning to expand to the US market. So there were two ways to go about it. We start selling ourselves, or we join hands with some larger company and then go about that. So we are considering both the options right now, and let's see how that goes. Yeah.
Rituja, you have any
Ayush,
closing questions?
yeah,
Yeah.
just one additional question. So as we know that AI tech constantly evolves with all the existing applications also. So I'd like to know if there are any initiatives that Flux AI is currently implementing or on the process to implement so as to enhance the current solutions for better performance?
Yeah, I think one part where Plux is particularly focused on is something called as evaluations. So all these LLMs need this thing called benchmarks or evaluation on. So if you see, like, anytime a new, let's say GPT-5 was launched, it showed that which are the metrics it is better at now, right? So you have evaluations. There are different benchmarks, RKGI benchmark, and then other benchmarks. But all of those are very generic benchmarks. Like there would be a benchmark for maths. There would be one benchmark for you know normal common intelligence, one benchmark for like how does the conversation is happening, etc. But right now there are not a lot of good benchmarks in finance. Let's say, how is the model exactly performing in financial modeling, how exactly is the model performing in, let's say, projections and bunch of other things. So evaluation and benchmark is something which we are working on and then contribute back to the community, so that anyone else who wants to build or create another financial analysis agent, they can basically use this benchmark to train and then be better. So that's something which we are planning to give back. Yeah.
Okay. So, Rituja, any other questions from your side?
Awesome.
So, thank you, Pratyush. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
So currently you are in Dubai, right? Anything about that you would like to share with us?
Uh, no, I think it's my first time in the city. It's pretty hot. Like, I did not, I kind of knew that it will be this hot, but it's really, really sunny. It's really hot. But yeah, it's pretty modern. Seems like India at a lot of places, seems way outside India at a lot of places. So still need to explore the city. But yeah, hopefully this weekend I'll start. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome.
So we will be closing this conversation for now. Thank you so much for your time. And we will
Thank
be
you.
sending you across a recorded video that we have with us.
Sure. Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Thank you for your
Thanks a lot,
time,
guys.
Pratish.
Thanks, Rituja. Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Rituja, ये record हो गया होगा, so should I just leave? Will it get saved?
हाँ वो सेव हो जाता है
पक्का ना? Should I check?
हम्म
सेव हो
नहीं
जाएगा
होता है
ना?
उधर
क्योंकि showing है यहाँ पे recording.
हाँ बाद में एक्सेस कर सकते हैं सेव हो जाएगा
ठीक है, leave कर रही हूँ मैं, okay? कर दूँ ना leave? Record हो जाएगा ना?
रिकॉर्ड कहाँ से किया था तुमने?
ये हो रहा है देखो.
चालू है
बस
रिकॉर्डिंग
ठीक है।
चालू है ऊपर
I'll leave, okay? Leave कर दूँ. डर लग रहा है.
रिकॉर्डिंग क्या लिखा है? छोड़ कहाँ है?
एक यहाँ पे एक ऑप्शन है.
रिकॉर्डिंग क्लिक करो, स्टॉप रिकॉर्डिंग।
स्टॉप रिकॉर्डिंग करूँ पक्का?
स्टॉप
पूरा ही बंद नहीं हो जाएगा ना?
नहीं नहीं